It's
Yeah.
it's an interesting life I lead. Yeah, I don't know, like, if everyone wants to mirror my exact approach to life, maybe not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Counter to intelligence.
Welcome to Counter to Intelligence. I am Ken the Bunker, and with me, the stalwart of
Stalwart, that's it.
of whatever. Tom.
I'm the stalwart of whatever. Don't believe anything, and certainly not this topic today. I just can't even believe what this is. I'm so excited to debunk the heck out of it. We'll see how it goes, though. You may have some better bunking than I have debunking today. We'll see.
I don't know because this is interesting. Like I like monsters and folklore, which you
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
So this creature is called the Billiwhack Monster. And so people are like, why are you into this on a conspiracy show? It's a monster. Well, there is some conspiracy about it. That's what's interesting about this one. So I'm gonna give a brief, like kind of what it is, and I'll give you kind of the conspiracies surrounding it. And then
Awesome.
we can go with talk about what the heck is this. So basically, the Billiwhack Monster is a legendary cryptid rooted in the folklore of Ventura County, California. Uh, it is known to hang out, and this is how it gets its name. There's a dairy called Billiwhack Dairy near Santa Paula, and that's how it gets its name.
Yeah.
Uh, Now it's described as a ape-like humanoid, almost like Bigfoot, but gray hair, long claws, ram-like horns. So it kind of, we'll get into another creature it kind of resembles. It is said to be massive and carries a club like an old caveman
Whoa.
and has immense strength, and it has the ability to hurl large rocks at vehicles and pound on car hoods.
That's a
So that
problem. Yeah.
yeah, so it doesn't like traffic, which I understand. So um basically the origins are this. It traces back to the earliest 20th century and was reported first like by being seen by some cowboys near Santa Paula or in around 1912, 1913. Uh, in the 1920s, it kind of got established by this guy named August Rubel, and who was a Swiss immigrant and former World War One OSS officer, which the OSS is the predecessor to MI-17. I think is that
Yeah.
right?
Or
MI-16,
16,
whatever.
one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Basically, what like James Bond was a part of, and or the guy who was based on James Bond. Then uh, and basically were the CIA. All OSS was like the predecessor to all these secret service. Uh, Now, the rumor suggests that Rubel conducted secret military experiments beneath the dairy, aiming to create a super soldier. And the Billiwhack Monster is believed to be by some to be the result of these experiments that went awry. So
Whoa.
he now the sightings they're kind of sporadic over the decades, and a lot of teenagers, hikers say they run into it. People driving down the road say they've had rocks thrown at them, and they look up and there's this dude with horns and stuff hanging out throwing
Wow.
rocks at cars. Um, it targets humans and livestock, so it's not very cool. What's cool, interesting is cultural impact of this thing, which I find interesting. Uh, it's been talked about in like the TV show The X Files did a show about it, and Ghost Adventures even spoke about it.
Whoa. It's
So
famous.
yeah, uh, basically the the I the the conspiracies behind it are this. First, we got pseudoscience secret experiments, which we kind of mentioned. They claim that the creature was created by August Rubel, who was of the Office of Strategic Services, which was like the predecessor to the CIA and all that, but over in England. And he made it. Um, Another thing people say, like a lot of the eyewitnesses, they don't know if they're really credible because it's a lot of teenagers. it's inconsistent reports on the size and the behavior and the appearance, but I'll get into that later. The lack of documentation, meaning that there's not a lot of there's no DNA evidence, and even cryptozoologists question its existence.
Oh,
So
wow.
even the people who believe in almost anything wonder if this one is.
This might be one of the weaker ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating. It looks like the devil, right? Like it's
Yeah.
such a weird thing. The drawings of it I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Now,
a devil lizard with horns, and it's like kind of muscular.
yeah. Now, one of the things that they said, the Rubel guy, his death might have been linked to psychological issues. I don't know if he committed suicide, but he was doing some weird stuff. We do know he did some weird stuff, whether he was taking drugs or whatever. Don't know. But I find it interesting, like the description. There's another monster down in Texas that has a very similar description. So it's not, what I would say is it's not a unique description unto itself, meaning people have spotted and described something similar in Texas as well as West Virginia. In West Virginia, they call it the sweep squatch or the white thing.
Wow.
In Texas, it's the Lake Worth monster.
Right.
And then here it's the bill, but they're all very described. The one unique thing to the Billiwhack is that it carries a club. I don't think that the others carry club, but both of the other stories, the one in West Virginia and in Texas, they were immensely strong and like to throw things at cars. So that's, that's a thing going across all three of these stories.
Interesting. The throwing of things.
Now, see, so that's why I wanted to bring that up, is because a lot of times if you get this weird monster story,
Right.
like, okay, if it's just this one place, but now you have two other places that have a similar creature story. It's described very similar with horns, ram-like horns, big hulking monster, grayish white. But yeah, but like one of the things, like they said, they're like, well, eyewitnesses, the reports are inconsistent. That's usually with every white eyewitness report for anything. Like that's why they say when like police come and want to they try and do it as quickly as possible. Even it's like, but her husband was just murdered. We don't want to bug her. It's like, no, you need to go quickly, as fresh as possible, because after a couple hours, your statement becomes skewed.
Yeah.
Like, and they show that like even the most credible witness is not 100% accurate.
Right.
Because
exactly.
and especially over time, they say like when you remember a memory, you remember it as you want it to be remembered.
Right.
So like you may, and it's true. Like I go back and I think back to like stories of my youth, and when I think back, I remember like they're almost fantastical, like where it's like, man, I know it wasn't like that, but in my memory, it was amazing and crazy, like different events that occurred in my life. And like I remember building this dam when I was little. This has nothing to do with the story, but to case in point, we had built this dam on a creek, and I remember the water we built it so high that when we jumped in, we were going underwater.
Right.
And then I remember my friend Mike breaking the dam, and we just got swooshed down like it was an intense, like a river. And in my mind it was this intense thing. But thinking back now, like in my mind, that's the memory I have of it being, we had a blast there and they almost got swept down a river. But in reality, it probably was no more than 3 feet deep. And we probably went about 10 feet once it broke.
Right.
But in my mind, it was like, I remember, oh my God, I had to grab a
huge.
tree to stop. I was going to end up in the Ohio River, but which was like 60 miles away. But anyway, so like when they say, eyewitness accounts, I dismiss that as a reason it couldn't exist.
Right.
Because even on Bigfoot stories, which whether or not Bigfoot is real, that's a whole thing, but everyone's, the size changes, like from
Yeah.
8 to 10 feet to like 6, 7 feet, but it's big, bulking guy.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Now, and I read somewhere that like your memories, you don't recall them as much as you reconstruct them. Like you said, it's kind of like how you want to remember it, right? So
right.
you have like an intuition about what it should be, and then that kind of guides how the memory is like recalled, but you're really reconstructing it in your brain, which is
Hmm.
interesting. So yeah, so I don't know about the eyewitness, but clearly this is like more than just one place. That's what's so interesting.
Right. Yeah, and uh, it it was. I'm trying to find the last sighting of this thing was actually in the early 2000s. So people still claim to
Relatively
see this
recent.
thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the area is kind of wooded and there's canyons. And so there could be an interesting thing. And it's
Yeah.
got the cool archetype of the half goat, half man thing, which
Right.
has been around a while and is often associated with the devil.
Right.
But um, but like different people spot it, and a lot of the people who spotted it and reported it, according to everything I found, haven't like in any way tried to bank off of it.
Right.
And which is interesting. Like they, again, I guess in the early 1900s, and I was doing some interesting research. Is that in the early 1900s there were a lot of monster sightings across America.
Yeah.
Very very strange. You had like a lot of in that time frame between is from 1900 to about 1915. You had like the Billiwhack, you had the Jersey Devil, like, but all of them had stories before that,
Right.
except for the Billiwhack. That's when it kind of started.
Yeah.
But like the Jersey Devil um had stories, but the the Snallygaster, you had the Devil Monkey, you had a the Van Meter Visitor, you had all these like crazy weird monster sightings were happening in the early 1900s. I don't know why. I'd like that's something I'd like to
I'd like to know
eventually
that.
and figure out what was going on from 1900 to 1915, that there was this weird craze of sightings of bizarre creatures.
Right.
But this fits into it. Now, as I study, they did say that there was history of belief in some kind of creature, large monster by the Native Americans in that
Okay.
area,
So it could have
saying
been
they,
farther
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Now, like there, it didn't quite say the same description, but that there was some kind of weird
Right.
creature that lurked the canyons of that area, whether or not it was just a disgruntled man and or what, and maybe he cut a ram's head and wore it as a hat.
Could be. I heard too that this may be a deformed or disfigured Bigfoot. So maybe it's
Yeah,
like a cousin that's having
yeah,
trouble.
yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it's Bigfoot's lesser known cousin that they don't like. They call him Eddie and cut cousin Eddie of the Bigfoots, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
idiot is always wearing ram horns and
Right.
stuff, like a moron. And he carries a club around. We're not Neanderthals. We're Bigfoot. So
I can
what?
imagine there's factions within the Bigfoot family. He is the black sheep, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's like the black ram because
The black ram. And Billy Whack is probably like, well, at least I'm not the Snallygaster,
yeah,
like
or at
there's
least
probably a pecking order among the cryptids.
yeah,
So,
and he's probably at least I'm not like the skunk ape.
right.
At least I know hygiene, you know. But like, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, it's weird. I think there's something that people are seeing, like,
Mhm.
like you get ideas of what you should see, kind of like you're saying, and that becomes the
Yeah.
thing you see. Maybe they're all seeing Bigfoot, but they're interpreting it as this, or they're all seeing, I don't know, some orangutan on the loose, who knows? But like, yeah, I feel like once you get a picture in your head of what it's supposed to look like, that kind of
Mhm.
spreads.
Now I'm actually going to take your side on this. What if it's a bear and the bear was up there and it just happen to knock a rock rolls
Right.
down, and they look up and they see this thing up there like this, and the rock came down.
Yeah.
That thing threw the rock at me, and as the bear just happened to bump into it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's actually what happened. I should go and give you the footage of when that happened, and I recorded it, but it's been
Mhm.
lost.
Oh,
Somebody came in a black van and grabbed it. So I don't know what that's all about, but yeah.
now what's interesting is like going back to the some of the ideas of was it an experimental thing?
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's interesting.
Going back to like the CIA had files on this Rubel guy,
Oh, wow.
and and that they actually the Office of Strategic Services
Yeah,
was actually trying to create a super soldier, which falls in, which maybe, maybe what if it was the guy they experimented on, they really messed him up.
right,
Not saying, and I'm gonna go back to maybe like crazy guy, just he killed a ram and like I
right.
said, wore its
Wore it.
skull like a
Yeah,
hat and ran around the forest. And but it doesn't like, so those would account for those sightings. But they, I mean, it was cited later too, like in the 50s, 60s,
yeah.
70s, and then like I said, even in early 2000, some people you know said that they
All right.
had uh seen something
Yeah,
like
something.
it, but we don't know what.
No, it's interesting, and it's amazing to me too, the consistency over time and culture, right, of this
Mhm.
kind of creature, this half man, half ram thing. So it's
Yeah.
been around for a while.
Well, I mean, like, and this one's a little bit. It actually, there is another one. Like in Maryland, there is a Creek guy known as the Goat Man, and he carries an axe,
Uh,
and the Maryland Goat Man. Now,
man,
Maryland's not the only state to also have a Goat Man. So
right,
there's other states that have goat man lore, and all of them have something to do with weird scientist experimentation.
right.
Um, now there's actually, I think in Maryland, there's even a Goat Man Bridge, and
Didn't know that.
yeah, you don't want to go there because he tries to kill you. Now that's, I think the Goat Man is way scarier than Virginia has the Bunny Man,
There's a
and
bunny. I'm
like
just making
that's
that.
like, come on, Virginia, step up your game.
Right. Like, what it's gonna do? It's
The
gonna like eat all your carrots. Like,
Yeah, the Billiwhack or the Goat Man is easily take down the Bunny Man.
oh yeah, we gotta get a better
My
monster.
yeah, my dog could take down the Bunny Man.
Yeah, right. Do you think Marylanders should just take over Virginia based on the weakness of their monster? Like,
Yeah,
maybe they should do that.
Virginia's monster. Like Maryland has way better monsters than
Yeah,
Virginia.
weak.
So
Virginia's
yeah,
weak when it comes to
yeah,
cryptids.
yeah, exactly. West Virginia though, they could take Virginia too.
Oh,
Smaller
it's
state,
good.
but they have way better cryptids.
Yeah, I bet theirs are tougher. The mountains,
Yeah,
are made make tougher monsters. That's what I think.
yeah. Well, I think that we should actually, all the states should tally up their cryptids and we have a battle.
Oh, I
And
like that.
whatever state has the best cryptids, they get to rename the whole country to that state.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And I'm going to say this, even though I'm a transplant to Maryland, I think Maryland's going to win.
You think they're gonna win? They have
I
that
think they
many.
would.
Yeah.
They got, well, they got some really good ones. West Virginia is really close. And there's a couple cryptids that kind of fluctuate from Maryland to West Virginia.
Okay.
And so, but I think we could rally them to stay in Maryland just for this and be like, hey, stay with us.
We have
Like
to recruit.
California has some good cool ones too, but like, yeah, I think yeah. Like Jersey just has a Jersey Devil, and
That's it. Yeah.
that
Well, this
sucks.
is this is Prince George's County, so to the east of Washington, D.C. There's the goat.
What the Goat Man?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the goat
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Half goat, half axe wielding maniac is what
yeah.
they call it. I mean, that's a heck
Which,
of a title.
yeah, and that's what we got here with the Billiwhack. It's
Yeah,
a half man, half goat maniac with a club.
yeah,
Billiwhack is obviously way bigger than the Goat Man,
right.
and it's more like a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would I would love to go out there and try and figure out what is going on
Right.
in that part of, was it Santa Paula, California.
Pensacola.
Like I want to go to the Billiwhack Dairy, and
Right. We need a
and
field trip.
yeah, I would hope that they are banking off of their thing, and like they sell t-shirts.
Oh, definitely.
I went to find the Billiwhack Monster, and all I got was this t-shirt, you know,
That's really good.
and
We
yeah,
should sell them. Do you think they're copyrighted? Like maybe this should be we should sell a shirt. We've yet to
yeah,
talk any merchandise on the show. We do it for the good of the people, right?
yeah.
But
Well, what I will say this, it's interesting because this is one of the monsters I had not really heard much about. I think I heard, but I didn't know the name. But I'd heard something about, but like it wasn't on like my list of. And when I did research on it, it was actually, there were some places, but usually like when you type in a monster, like at least
right.
nowadays, you type it in and you go to image search, you get like 100 or
Yeah.
more people have drawn this thing.
Yes.
This thing only had 2 pictures,
Right.
which is really crazy that it's that low on the radar. So in some ways, even though it's a crazy story, it's one of those where I want it, like I hope that us talking about gets it out there, because there's a lot of these cool, like weird folklore monsters that have fallen off the radar. And
Yeah.
this is an interesting kind of I love the idea that it's tied to the OSS. It's tied to this crazy scientist
Yeah.
that maybe it was a super soldier gone wrong, and it turned into this weird thing, or maybe it's just like you said, a Bigfoot that is deformed and got rejected by his friends. Now he's just lonely and he carries his club and throws rocks at cars.
Man, he's dejected. It's not anger. He's
Yeah.
just upset with the world. Yeah.
Maybe he just knows that like Bigfoot's getting all the publicity, and he's like, dude, I have horns in a club, and
Right.
sees cars and says, look at me. It's a cry for help.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah.
This poor creature. I mean, we
Yeah,
were thinking it was scary, but it's just upset. Yeah.
yeah, it's just like it just wants to be loved. It
Do you
wants a
think there's a
hug.
little like Billiwhack monster agent out there? Like, look, I just get 20% or whatever,
Yeah,
price
I'll
you
help you
want.
out.
Yeah.
You see what I've done for your cousin Bigfoot, man. He's everywhere.
Let me represent you.
People, yeah, people who don't even believe in Bigfoot have stickers of him on their Jeeps now.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, that is true.
Bigfoot's everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Everyone's like, Bigfoot's like, that's the one everyone's allowed to believe in.
Right.
And you don't get mocked.
Right.
Like, you're like, oh yeah, I think Bigfoot might be real. Oh yeah, me too. But then if you say, man, I think the Billiwhack might be real, you're like, dude, are you crazy?
Right.
A monster with horns in a club? You're an idiot. Like, or like, even if you said like, even like the Jersey Devil, it's kind of on that,
Yeah, exactly.
People in Jersey are all like, yeah, believe, but like you get out of Jersey, and you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Lady gave birth to her 13th kid and said, this one's the Devils, and it turned into that. And now you have a hockey team named after it. Come on.
Because do you think Bigfoot benefits by his resemblance to Chewbacca? Because people kind of like Chewbacca.
That could be where the turning point for Bigfoot happened, was
Yeah.
now, funny story, you bring that up. The guy who played Chewbacca, when they were filming Return of the Jedi, and they were on the planet of Endor, with the Ewoks. It was filmed in the Redwood Forest in California. And they told the guy, hey, when you're in costume, stay with us, because they were concerned that if he went walking off, that a hunter might shoot him thinking he was Bigfoot.
Oh my gosh.
And that was for real. They would not let him leave the set area in costume. And because in the other movies, he'd walk off and go sit down, chill out. But they're like, dude, you got to stay near us because we do not want you to get shot because you're mistaken for Bigfoot.
That's hilarious.
Because some hunter's like, hey, I'm about to be a billionaire. I just killed Bigfoot. Which, interesting side note, Chewbacca's costume is not nearly as and think about how intricate that costume is. The Patterson, the Patterson footage of Bigfoot, which is still debated to this day, is that Bigfoot or a guy in a costume? That, if it's a guy in a costume, that thing is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
because you see muscle movement, you see, and even Chewbacca's, you do not see
Right.
even the most recent one, they're
Right.
still doing like, and they've upgraded it, it
Right.
gets better and better. You don't see muscle movement. You
No,
don't see that.
doesn't look real.
And people have tried to replicate and they can't. But
That's
so
funny.
I'm going to say on the Billiwhack, I think there was something there, probably in the early 1900s. Something was seen. What it was, I do not know. I'm not willing to say it's exactly what they're saying, but
Right.
I like, I'm one of these that people that when people say they see things
Yeah.
or describe a monster or something, I believe they see or saw something.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And to the point that it freaked them out.
Right.
And this is one of those where I think some people saw some stuff, and there was this dude, August Rubel, who they knew was an OSS officer and did weird stuff, and
Right.
they just like associated it with him, and someone saw something, and it just perpetuated this story.
I agree.
And I think it's one of the stories we got to keep up, because like the whole OSS being predecessor to CIA, being like, it's a great story. It can't go away.
In the Tom and Ken universe, I think everything is connected somehow. We're discovering this.
Yeah, like it's interesting that it went back to the CIA, and we just did the thing MK Ultra, and then now we're talking about another monster that was part of the pre-CIA
Right.
and drugs and super soldiers and gone wrong.
I love that this is basically a Marvel movie, this whole super soldier concept.
Yeah, it's like it's what should have happened to Captain America.
Right. Yeah. Maybe that's why the movie probably derived from this. So I think there's a new one out, right? So maybe everybody should go see that. And
The new Captain America?
yeah.
Yeah. Brave New World. It's a brave new world.
Oh wow.
And it would be awesome if somehow the Billiwhack Monster showed up in that, but I don't think it does.
If it does, maybe we can represent him. I really think Billiwhack needs some representation, some promotions, right? To compete with Bigfoot,
Yeah.
getting all the attention.
Yeah.
So,
I do. I think there's a lot of these monsters that need more representation.
yeah.
Maybe we can start an agency
That
for
would be
the lesser known monsters. Like,
Let's do it.
hey, we'll help you out. We'll get you some movies, get you into some comic books.
right. We could call ourselves Lesser Known Monsters Inc., which sounds like it could almost be a movie title itself. If you took out the words besides Monsters Inc., like it would be.
Lesser Known Monsters Inc. Now that's perfect. Maybe we can get a Pixar deal.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be a hilarious show. Like
That
two
really
guys that are trying to help other monsters get the publicity that Bigfoot's got. And like maybe like their dad is like Bigfoot's agent. And they're like, we're going to start, Dad, we're going to bring up the Billiwhack. He's going to be great. And he's like, whatever, dude.
I think it has legs. I think this could be a full, I don't know, like, what do you call it? A multi-part series.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm going to start writing it right now.
Right. I think you will. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah.
So what is our conclusion on this?
I think we're in agreement. Like, they saw something, don't know what it is, could be Bigfoot's cousin, could be a hybrid human man experiment. Nobody knows.
Or a guy that just went crazy.
All agree. Yeah.
Yeah, we agree they saw something. And we both agree it's a very fun story that should not go away.
It should not go away. We should talk about it frequently.
Yeah, we should bring it back up in a year and see what's happened. Maybe we will start a trend of the Billiwhack, and then people like now, like in a year from now, there's like a Billiwhack festival.
Oh,
at the Billiwhack Dairy. I don't know. I didn't look. See, the thing is, I should have looked that up. Maybe they already do it. I have no idea.
I didn't look that up either. I know the Snallygaster has its own dairy, so we should definitely look that up. Maybe we compete. There's like Snallygaster people and Billiwhack, and there'll be like a whole civil war about which monster is more important.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I'm looking it up right now. I just want to see if there is a festival.
Is there a festival in general for like the cryptids? There's got to be, right?
There's different ones. Yeah, they're all around the country, but it doesn't look like there is a Billiwhack Monster Festival, and there should be, because that is a real shame that the Billiwhack Monster has it's named after the Billiwhack Dairy. They should definitely be doing something there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You could sell the milk like, yeah,
Yeah.
for 10 times the price.
Billiwhack dairy cheese. Get some Billiwhack Monster cheese. What? Munster. Billiwhack
Monster.
Munster
Oh my
cheese.
gosh.
There's a whole thing right there.
Monster cheese is gonna be good.
Yeah. Yeah. They got to get on that.
Oh, there is
But
a
anyway,
Grafton. Okay, there's a Grafton Monster Festival.
yeah, there's all kinds. Like
I
there's a
didn't know.
Snallygaster festival. But I
Yeah,
mean, there are also just Monster Fest and Cryptid Con. There's all these different things where, like, and Cryptid Con kind of celebrates all the monsters, but
right.
then certain monsters get their own thing. Like Bigfoot's got a couple.
Yeah.
Skunk Ape has a fest.
Oh my
Like I
God.
said, Snallygaster has one. I believe the Mothman has a huge one. The Loveland uh, frogs, frogmen have one. Like,
Wow.
but there's all these others that don't get much play that are very interesting.
Yeah.
Which
Oh
I
boy.
think that leads us to next week's episode.
Oh yeah. Oh, I have not been thinking about what. Do you have ideas? I have not been
I
thinking
do.
about ideas.
Well, we kind of said last week that I had an idea for what, because since we
Good.
dealt with the Billiwhack monster, I said let's do a twofer and do two shows in a row about a monster. And
Nice.
this is another weird story, uh, and it takes place in Iowa, and it's again in the early 1900s, and it is the Van Meter visitor. And we mentioned him in the show, but this is a
Yeah.
creature that is a bizarre story, and I'm going to give you the story, and then I want you to try and figure out what the heck it could have been and what it might have involved
Yeah.
with. And like, because I have read about it, and I have no idea what this thing could have been or how it could have done the things they say it did. And the fascinating thing is that, yet again, like, it's now, like, in recent years, it's gotten kind of its play back up of people are like, this is really cool. But back in the day, they didn't play it up. They were kind of like this thing showed up, and the people who saw it and stuff kind of didn't want people to talk about it.
Oh
And
wow.
so for years, it wasn't really talked about.
It's
But
like a
then now,
flying thing, right? Is that
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll get into the story behind that, and then I'm going to give it to you. But I think that'll be next week's episode. So if
I'm
people want
excited.
to hear about the Van Meter visitor, I will tell its story. I've done a podcast about it before, and I had another guy who is not a debunker like you. Like you'll come at it with like, well, this is what you think. He would just listen to the story, and we tried to figure out together what it could be. He
Right.
couldn't come up with anything. I couldn't either, but he wasn't trying to disprove it. And
Right.
you kind of will be like, who, what, where, and why did this thing happen?
Right. But then what happens if I ask those questions and I end up believing in it and now I have a fear of the Van Meter visitor? We'll see what
Well, then don't go to Iowa.
happens. That's right. That's good. I won't do it. It's too cold there.
Yeah. And then I do have some connections to other monsters that it has that like are interesting. So next week we'll do Van Meter Visitor. I think we've debated the Billiwhack and decided it was something, but we don't know what.
That's right.
And if somebody wants to go out there and find it, and if somebody wants to start a festival for it, please do.
Yes, we want to come.
Yeah, I don't want to start the festival, but I will come to your festival.
Right. We will be a booth. We could be a booth.
Yeah, I need to talk to you about doing a booth for some things.
All
Or
right,
at least
let's do it.
coming with me. There's a festival this fall. I think you should come with me.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it.
Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Billiwhack Monster. We hope that you've been informed and it piqued your interest, and you're going to start looking into this thing, because that's one thing I like. I like people to look into their own stuff, figure their own stuff out.
Right.
Don't just take my word for it or Tom's.
No,
Definitely never
not.
take Tom's, because he doesn't believe nothing. He's just a killjoy of everything. And it's true. I talked to his wife about it.
It's true. I was gonna say she
I'm
knows.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. She's never said that to me. I just assume she thinks that.
Yeah. She laughed for the last time in 1999. So
Yeah. And it wasn't at anything you did.
no. Right. And then we're married and the laughter stopped. I don't know like what happened. So
That's the day the music died. No, wow.
wow. All right. This is great.
Yeah.
We've had another episode, folks, of
Yeah.
counter to intelligence.
Yeah. Thank you for everyone who stopped by and checked us out, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. See you, everybody.